Hey everyone! Whether you love pancakes or just enjoy a sweet touch on your morning oatmeal, get ready for an interesting trip into the world of maple syrup. Today, we're diving into Quebec's maple syrup industry. Did you know it's worth billions? Yeah, that's a whole lot of syrup. But have you ever wondered how it actually goes from those trees to your breakfast table? Well, get ready, because we're about to uncover the delicious secrets behind this sticky sensation. So are you curious to learn more? Stick around and let's explore together. Origin of Quebec's maple syrup industry. Let's take a ride through time and explore the fascinating history of Quebec's maple syrup industry. This started many centuries ago, when indigenous folks in Quebec stumbled upon a delicious secret hidden in maple trees. They discovered how to tap these trees and turn their sap into syrup. That's right, it's a tradition that goes way, way back. Now let's zoom forward to 1889. That's the year something big happened. The invention of the evaporator. This nifty machine changed the game, making it much easier to boil sap into syrup. Talk about a sweet innovation. Fast forward to 1966, when the Quebec Maple Syrup Producers Association was born. This group brought syrup makers together to work as a team and keep the industry running smoothly. They set rules to make sure the syrup stayed top-notch and managed how much syrup was made. But maple syrup isn't just about economics. It's a big part of Quebec's culture. Families have been making syrup for ages, passing down their sweet secrets from one generation to the next. And let's not forget those fun-filled Sugar Shack festivals, where folks gather to celebrate all things maple. Highs of the industry. First off, did you know that Quebec produces a whopping 90% of Canada's maple syrup? That's a whole lot of syrup. And it's not just a tasty treat for pancakes. It's also a major player in Quebec's economy. Every year, Quebec's maple syrup industry contributes a sweet chunk to the province's gross domestic product, GDP. Just to give you an idea, in 2022 alone, Quebec's syrup enterprises generated over 150 million pounds of maple syrup, with a record-breaking production of more than 211 million pounds. That's a whole lot of syrup flowing into the economy. Now, let's talk jobs. With around 13,000 syrup makers in Quebec, this industry is a big employer. From tapping trees to bottling syrup, there are lots of roles to fill. Plus, all those syrup sales mean more demand for workers in bottling plants, shipping companies, and more. It's a sweet deal for job seekers. But what about taxes? Well, all that maple syrup money means more tax revenue for the government. It's like a sweet bonus for public services and infrastructure projects. Now let's dip into the strategic reserve. Managed by the Quebec Maple Syrup Producers, this reserve is like a syrup safety net. It stores surplus syrup in huge warehouses, making sure there's always enough syrup to go around, even if there's a bad harvest or unexpected demand. It's like having a pantry stocked with syrup for a rainy day. And speaking of demand, Quebec's maple syrup is a hot commodity worldwide. With exports to over 70 countries, Quebec's syrup is spreading its sweet fame far and wide. From America to Europe and beyond, people everywhere are craving that delicious Quebecois syrup goodness. And as demand grows, so does the industry's success. Loads of the industry. Quebec's maple syrup industry has some tough challenges to overcome. One big problem is climate change. Because of it, the weather is getting all wonky, with shorter winters and crazy temperatures. This messes up the whole process of making syrup from tree sap. In 2023, Quebec's syrup production took a nosedive by 41.4% compared to the year before. That's a huge drop. Another headache is the up and down demand for maple syrup worldwide. People are sometimes unsure about their money, and there are other sweeteners to choose from. This means less syrup gets sold. Last year, Quebec saw a whopping 40% drop in syrup sales compared to the previous year. That's a lot. Even the COVID-19 pandemic had a say in this mess. At first, when folks were stuck at home, syrup sales went up by 20%. But then, the next year, sales went down again, especially in the United States where they had a bad syrup harvest. To meet the demand, Quebec had to release 67 million pounds of syrup from their backup supply. Talk about tough times. All these problems are putting a real squeeze on syrup makers, bottlers, and the whole industry. The Quebec Maple Syrup Producers Group, which represents about 13,000 syrup makers, is doing its best to keep things in check. But things are still quite uncertain. The industry has to find ways to deal with all these challenges and keep making top-notch syrup. Competitors and strives. Quebec's maple syrup industry, despite its dominance, faces stiff competition from other syrup-producing regions like Vermont in the United States and Ontario in Canada. These regions often produce similar quality syrup, posing a challenge to Quebec's market share. Additionally, alternative sweeteners such as corn syrup and artificial syrups present alternatives to consumers. To tackle these challenges, Quebec's syrup producers are investing heavily in innovation and sustainability. For instance, the Quebec Maple Syrup Producers Organization reports that producers have invested approximately $10 million annually in promotion and innovation efforts. These investments include adopting advanced technologies like vacuum systems and computerized monitoring, which have increased efficiency and productivity. Moreover, efforts to enhance sustainability include tapping into renewable energy sources and implementing eco-friendly forest management practices. Despite these efforts, maintaining the quality and authenticity of Quebec's maple syrup remains paramount. The Quebec Maple Syrup Producers Association, representing over 13,000 syrup makers, ensures strict adherence to quality control measures. The organization grades syrup into categories like golden, amber, dark, and very dark, with prices varying accordingly. For instance, producers received $3.20 per pound for golden syrup in a recent year, with prices decreasing for darker grades. In terms of competition, Quebec's syrup industry remains resilient. While Vermont and Ontario are notable competitors, Quebec's syrup is renowned worldwide for its exceptional quality and taste. The province's syrup exports, totaling approximately 96 million kilograms, account for 92% of Canada's maple syrup production. Impact on the world and its economy. Let's break down how Quebec's maple syrup industry impacts the world and its economy. Economic importance. Quebec's maple syrup industry brings in a whopping $1.1 billion to Canada's money pot, known as the Gross Domestic Product, GDP. Plus, it creates about 12,600 full-time jobs, meaning lots of people depend on maple syrup for their paychecks. This helps keep things like schools, roads, and healthcare running smoothly. Global supply and demand. Changes in maple syrup production and sales can shake up the global food market. If Quebec has a tough year due to wonky weather, there might not be enough syrup to go around. This can lead to higher prices for syrup lovers everywhere. But if Quebec has a super harvest, prices might drop, making syrup more affordable for everyone. Consumer preferences. Maple syrup isn't just for pancakes anymore. It's showing up in all sorts of foods and drinks, from fancy cocktails to creamy ice cream. As people's tastes change and they look for healthier options, they might choose maple syrup over other sweeteners. This can boost demand for Quebec syrup, making it even more popular worldwide. Trade dynamics. Quebec ships its maple syrup to over 70 countries around the world. That's a lot of syrup zooming across the globe. When Quebec syrup lands in other countries, it's not just about making food taste better. It's also about sharing a slice of Canadian culture. People from Japan to France might be savoring Quebec syrup right now, adding a touch of Canada to their meals. Cultural significance. Maple syrup isn't just a tasty treat, it's a symbol of Canadian pride, but its appeal goes way beyond Canada. In kitchens around the world, maple syrup is loved for its unique flavor and its ability to jazz up all sorts of dishes. It's become a kitchen essential in many places, from drizzling over pancakes in the US to flavoring desserts in France. So when you're enjoying maple syrup, you're not just having a delicious topping, you're also tapping into a global culinary tradition. Thanks for tuning in to learn about Quebec's maple syrup industry. What's your take on the sweet success and challenges it faces? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe for more interesting stories like this.